Hello, everybody. Scott Golden, Pro Wrestling Logic here, and we are going to continue our foray into the Tuesday Night Titans WWF series from the mid 80s. This is the June 12th, 1984 episode, and we're going to run through that really quickly. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, comment below. If there's a series you want to see, we take a lot of requests around here. Matter of fact, that is what's going to fuel this channel. We hope to be the largest audio version of television reviews and interviews available on YouTube eventually, but we need your help to do that. In any event, we start with Paul Orndorf versus S.G. Jones. It's easy to see by this point that Orndorf is one of the heels that Vince plans to build around. Bobby Heenan involved with the match, not quite yet actually. I think Heenan comes in a little bit later. For some reason he pops into my head here. Maybe it's because I'm so used to seeing Bobby with Orndorf. Anyway, very basic match. We see a crossbody by SD. SD, by this point, was a former tag team champion. Also, perennial, I guess, I'd say lower mid-card guy. And takes quite a beating. Several shots to the outside. He's kind of hung over, kind of worked over. There's a spot at the end of the match, though, that makes really no sense to my brain, as Orndorf hits what is considered one of the better pile drivers in the sport. I still have a preference towards Lawler's, but that's just me. Anyway, he hits pile driver, does a quick cover, and the referee starts to count before the cover is completed. It's kind of weird. So then we go to a Orndorf vignette, proof that they really want to push Orndorf for the character aspect even more than the wrestling aspect, which, again, if somebody can show me, and I'll qualify this, I like Orndorf and Hogan, both in the big event match and in the Steel Cage Saturday Night main event match. Other than that, I've never been into Orndorf. I don't get it. I understand that he was a good physique. I understand that he was an above-average talker, maybe, but I don't get it. So if you are an Orndorf fan who charts his progress and really likes the guy, I'd love comments below, videos I should check out, things that I should pay attention to, because I always like to learn about guys that just don't connect with me personally. Anyway, Orndorf is at the gym, and he is telling women, listen to me, I'll tell you what to eat, but you gotta listen to me, I'll tell you what to do, but you gotta listen to me, you can't make decisions on your own, and you're out of shape, and your man's gonna like abs, and your man's gonna like muscles and deltoids, and he mocks the way that a male and female individual are both using the I guess you'd say lap machines or whatever the case may be. And then we see him work out, and obviously it's much more smooth. So then we go from there. I mean, it's a good little segment, I guess, if you are into Orndorf or if you are in some way connected with the idea that Orndorf is going to be your guy. It's a nice little segment to get him going in that direction. McMahon and Hayes then talk to Sal Palomo. Palomo, a perennial enhancement talent, one step above enhancement talent. But at this point in 84, he actually gets some wins. They have him build a ship out of paper and other ancillary objects just to make him different. Kind of an interesting concept. This, again, trying to give guys third-level depth of personality. And I wish they did more of this today with guys actually using talents they actually cared about and not scripted stuff like that dating or the bro game the other night on NXT. I wish they actually sat down with the talents and said, oh, you're into baseball, let's give you a baseball vignette. Oh, you're into, cooking, let's give you a cooking vignette, whatever it is. And I think I do a lot more to bring lapsed fans back. That's actually why I like the TNT program, because it still does give fans a little bit of knowledge, hokey or not, into different cultures, different desires of the talent. I know purists don't like the show. I do like the show because it's different, it's unique. Anyway, we then go into a more full length match, usually not found on TNT, at least the first week it wasn't. Ivan Petsky versus Roddy Piper. Interesting in this match, they're at the Garden. I wish I knew, and I could probably look it up, but sometime mid '84 probably. Usually it's a 2 month cycle behind, so probably maybe March, April, May of '84. And what I find unique about this, and I'd never seen it before this particular show. I've watched this show before, but never noticed that they had Piper's pipe band on the outside playing during the entire match. I love that. That was really cool. It set Piper apart. It made things different. Interesting point here that it looked more like a fight. Really basic match. There's involvement with the referee, yada yada, no real big finish. But the one thing I wanted to point out here, two things actually I want to point out. If anybody knows where Piper got the concept for the Panther on the Panther shirt, I've always liked that shirt. So if there's a story behind it, I'd love to hear it. And secondly, there's a series of spots early in the match where Piper and Petsky are going at it, and there's just punch. They probably both exchange 50 to 75 punches in about 2 minutes. Anyway, both guys just go at it, and just go nuts, right? And then Piper falls like a minute after all the punching stops. I love that. It's just, I stuck through it. I was living on adrenaline, and then I crashed. I think that's a level of realism that's missing in today's wrestling, and that's just a little tiny thing that could make a major difference. Mailin Questions, kind of like a write-in fan segment, is up next. Lord Alfred Hayes reads us a question about Morocco getting a shot at Hogan. Vince kind of sidesteps it. The Samoan staying with Albano. Basically, Vince says that Albano has his own problems. I actually wonder by this point if Vince was ready to fire Albano because of Albano's legendary drinking. That's an interesting question to me. McMahon and Hayes then up to interview Classy Freddie Blassie. Blassie basically says he's a class above the rest. He's better than everybody. Almost a mock Jesse Ventura type vibe if you're into that. Then we see a black and white clip for a couple of minutes with, let's see, what is his first name? Leone. I don't know the first name on the guy. Anyway, but Mr. Leone versus Baron Leone. There we go. Versus Fred Blassie. Real basic match. Blassie, obviously your classic brawler. Not much to the clip, but I love the fact they're interspersing the black and white footage, which proves they have more than what's on the network. I wish they would upload some of that. Would be really cool. Then we move on to an interview with Mr. Fuji. Fuji does a series of, he likes to torture people. He's here for money. He's here to make a difference. He loves to watch people suffer. Your typical Japanese heel wouldn't get over today because it would be considered racist, but back in 1984, there was still a good bit of racism in America, and that was their target market. Not the racists, but the United States and Canada, your target market, and these things would fly then. Fuji versus Nick DiCarlo, very basic match, martial arts shots and the like. Fuji can still go at this point. Surprised that he retired to do managing earlier than he needed to here. Then we see Fuji using the services of a Japanese geisha girl. She pours tea, she does massages, she does everything that geisha would do. Fuji, for all intents and purposes, flips the heck out at her for spilling sake. Again, almost looks like he's going to hit her. Just very violent. The aggression towards women wouldn't fly today. Not really worth going out of your way to see. And we see Big John Studd, who at this point was a former executioner, former tag team champion, but people don't know it. Studd, 6'10". Somehow the ring announcer in the match that follows the interview segment puts about an extra, 80 pounds on Studd. Oakland says he's 367. Studd's announced just 430. How that goes wrong, I have no idea. Anyway, Studd needs a manager here. He really does. He basically says his only challenges are Hogan and Andre, but he's better than both. Then, oddly enough, we see Studd go at it with Sal Palomo. Studd uses power holds that are just kind of boring and plodding, but does beat Palomo for the win with a tackle elbow drop combination, or just a kind of a falling elbow drop after a slam. Another mini interview with Studd, and Studd basically says no one can beat him, almost gets up in the face of Sal Palomo, who's working in the studio on his ship for everyone to see, and they almost come to blows. Then there's a segment that I pretty well skipped here, because they do a bunch of round the horn match clips, which I guess used to familiarize people that aren't familiar with your bigger stars. There's a clip of Jesse Ventura and a squash guy. There's a clip of Rocky Johnson taking out the tag champs, and then there's a clip of the tag champs doing well for themselves. Usually the clips are about 30 to 90 seconds, no real consequence because you don't see full matches. And then Sal Palomo finishes his model ship to close the program. Not as monumental as the first week, still some things that were enjoyable in the second week. A few more weeks of hour-and-a-half shows, and then we switch to the 45-minute segments. I actually prefer the 45 minutes. I feel that the hour-and-a-half, or the 2-hour format, which comes out to an hour-and-a-half on the network, is too long. In any event, this has been Scott Golden with Pro Wrestling Logic. We'll be back with more of these later today. At least going to do 2 more of these. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.